winning can breed expectations. And I feel like Green Bay over this winning streak started to have the national media say, yeah, this team is really good. You know, I keep seeing national people rank them in the top 10 teams in the league. And to me, that felt like a bit of a stretch. And Packers fans have been great with this. All of you guys have done a really nice job of staying moderate throughout much of this season, while the national media landscape is, oh, they suck. Oh, they're great. Going into New York in a hostile environment where Giants fans, our friends who went to that game, said it was the most raucous environment they've heard MetLife for a Giants game in years. Like, it felt like a college atmosphere. You had so many guys out, you know, the wind, Love didn't play well. That's where you remember that, okay, this team is, you know, it's filled with it's the youngest team in the league, and they were not supposed to be very good. So to be where they're at right now, it's impressive on its own. I think that the Packers, when they sit here, they're 1 game behind the Vikings, 2 games or 3 games behind Detroit at the moment.
Yeah,
Detroit's 9-4.
2 behind.
Yeah, we're 2 behind. Their chances of winning the division, like, they have to win out. And I was playing around with the simulator before, and there's a world. Like, it can actually happen that the Packers win the NFC North. It was something.
The division's the Lions.
I don't know. If the Lions lose the next 3, which is possible, they got Dallas, Denver, and at Minnesota, and Green Bay wins out, like, they lock up the division in Week 18, which is crazy.
I think that the Lions will be at worst 2-2.
Yeah, the Packers are plus 3,000 for a reason.
We'll chalk up a loss. We'll chalk up a loss at Dallas. The Lions will lose that game in Dallas. Mm-hmm. The Broncos game is big, but let's give them a win at home against Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
If they beat Denver this week at home, which again they probably should, the Packers have 0 chance.
Yeah, no. The Denver game's the one to circle.
They gotta finish 2-2. The Lions finish 2-2. The Packers have no chance.
If the Lions lose to Denver, that's when the Vikings and Packers can both start circling the one spot and say, we have a shot.
Especially Minnesota, because you're ahead of Green Bay and you play Detroit twice.
Well, but we have Green Bay on the schedule too. So each team, like that Week 17 game, Vikings-Packers on New Year's Eve, if Detroit loses, like, Zach's like, what are we talking about here?
The Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings are the one team that actually has a chance here. It's not a good chance, but they at least have a path. Beat the Lions twice. Yeah. The Packers do not have a realistic path.
The Packers,
I think that is it crazy to
think? No, but this is when you say that. When you talk about, here's why they don't. When you talk about the Lions losing out, you're talking about the Vikings beating the Packers
Paul,
twice.
Let's say the Lions lose their last 3 games or whatever. One will come to Minnesota. 2 will come to Minnesota.
No, listen.
Like if the Lions lose 3 or 4, 2 are probably to Minnesota.
Look, if the Lions, here's what I have.
First of all, Lions are not losing to Minnesota. They're playing Nick Mullins this week. I don't want to hear
Dude, that defense has been phenomenal.
I don't care.
No, this is clickbait. It's clickbait.
This actually, I'm not even trying to have clickbait here.
Exactly.
Is it crazy to have?
It's clickbait that he's thinking this.
Is it crazy to have the Lions lose those 3 games?
Yes.
To Denver, Minnesota, and Dallas, and to think the Packers beat the Bucks, Panthers, Vikings, and Bears?
Yes.
Like, that's not insane.
I don't think Green Bay wins out.
Well, they're not going to beat the Vikings.
You're insane.
I'm just saying, man.
Are you a homer? Is Paul a homer?
If Paul were a homer, he's so anti being a homer that he's twisting himself into shape.
He's saying Green Bay's
right. This is the thing.
No, I think
if the Vikings beat the Lions twice,
there it is.
I'm saying it's
like, look, we're starting Nick Mullins this week. Well, the Bengals are going to fall.
Let's go to the Vikings.
Like, the Vikings beat the Lions twice. If they do that and they beat the Bengals, the division's theirs. Game over.
Here's beat the Raiders 3-0. Like, all right, like you're 2 games behind Detroit. You can't score more than 3 on the Raiders. You're not
no one scores on us.
It's over. Like, you're not winning the division.
All right, let's talk about the Vikings for a second here, because
we talked enough about.
We owe it to Merle.
This is way too much Vikings.
We haven't even talked about them.
The Vikings
exactly. That's why there's too much.
They're just irrelevant.
They're the 6th seed.
You're like the Steelers of the NFC.
Vikings are making the playoffs.
Like, we're a playoff team.
I mean, so are we. I don't want to talk about us.
No, you're not.
We're the 6th seed right now too.
Listen.
I don't want to speak about us at all.
What are we listening to, Paul? Give it to me.
Here's what I want to say. Like, with Nick Mullins, we have a better shot of being a competent team than with Josh Dobbs right now. Dobbs was a super fun ride.
What are you talking about?
We all knew that was going to crash and burn. Like, even when he was having the super highs against the Falcons, like, we still knew this guy turns the ball over all the time. He's really not that accurate of a passer.
Crash and burn.
Yeah.
That's a great pun.
what do you need in the Kevin O'Connell offense is someone who could his back foot fire a pass. Mullins can do that. Now, look, is he going to be accurate all the time? Probably not. But he's a better passer than Josh Dobbs is. And the Vikings offense, like, it's different from the Ravens. The Ravens let Lamar run and do his thing. You know, there are playmakers that you could just hand off to and they'll go. The Vikings, you got to get the ball to Jefferson, get it to Hawkinson, get it to Jordan Addison. We have no running attack. We have no running attack at all. So I like Mullins as a better option to get the ball out to those guys to go make a play. And with the way the defense has looked over the past like month and a half, they're 10th now in yards allowed per game and fifth best in points allowed per game. They haven't allowed a touchdown. They've one touchdown in 3 weeks.
I mean, I don't think a soul is like arguing with you that the Vikings like won't make the playoffs. I mean, the NFC is terrible. There's like 2 good teams.
Can we not beat Detroit?
You could beat Detroit, but you'd go to Dallas and lose.
I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying we can catch Detroit.
Like, what are you saying?
You guys can't beat Detroit.
I'm saying we can catch Detroit.
I think being 2 games back is tough. Like, you have to beat Detroit twice, most likely, which I don't think you'll do.
If Denver beats Detroit and we beat the Bengals this weekend, we play Detroit.
Oh, you also won't beat the Bengals.
Okay.
I think that, what's his name? I think Browning is good. The Bengals are good.
Can we switch to talking about something that might actually happen? Please.
I'm saying it's not going to happen.
Okay, Ziggy, go ahead. Bring up. What a disaster segment.